Generational poverty is a family that's been in poverty for 2 or more generations.
Many of our staff members within Daily Public Schools have been around for years. We talked with one of our teachers at Thurgood Marshall High School, Linda Stover, to see if she has witnessed generational poverty.
I think to me, generational poverty is when you see the family, grandma, mom, children, all living in poverty. You know, grandma was in poverty, and she raises mom in poverty, and mom raises the children in poverty, and it's just a constant cycle that they just keep living in poverty and they don't know any other way.
Due to all of your years in the educational system, what have you witnessed generational poverty within your students?
Yes, we are seeing more and more grandparents raising children, and I think that has a lot to do with the generational poverty. Maybe the grandparents have finally been able to make a way or a life or whatever, but they haven't been able to convey it to their children well, and their children then are not equipped to be parents, and they take off, be it because of drugs, because they're locked up, because they just don't want to be parents, whatever, and they take off and leave the grandparents to raise the children.
Another way we reached our generational poverty is by interviewing a student, Dylan Dieters.
Can you define generational poverty?
Generational poverty? I feel like I would define that as, it would start out as one family who, like a mom and a dad who ends up in poverty, but because they have kids, they're going to also be struggling with poverty throughout their lives, considering how their parents and how they were raised into it.
Do you witness generational poverty?
Yeah, every day.
Oh, you live it?
Yeah.
Can you explain what you go through?
It's actually really hard because, especially when you have a lot of siblings, the kids are going to be kids, they're going to want things, they're not always going to be able to get things. Like if there's a toy they want, they won't always be able to get it. Then there are sometimes issues with having to pay for bills, having to get food every month, even having to send the kids to school, because I personally have to take an RTA to school every day, and sometimes, like especially here soon, I'm gonna have trouble doing that.
How many generations of your family have been poor that you can remember?
I really can't say for my grandmother, because she always seems like she's loaded, but my parents and, my generation right now, hoping to break that cycle if I ever have kids.
How do you deal with it?
Really it's just, you gotta pull through, you gotta set your mind to trying to get out of poverty. It's honestly not as easy as people think, especially with how other different factors such as education and just life in general happens. And you gotta really try to think about going forward and really trying to set yourself up to succeed.
Do you participate in welfare? Like, in other words, do you give up?
I'm not sure. Don't think so. Maybe.
What would your ideal program look like in order to end generational poverty?
A program I think would be great would be, obviously a well-funded one, and really, you can't stop generational poverty from the parents. The only really step I feel you can take would be start with the kids. Teach them about the value of education, help them with their education, make sure they stay on the right track, stay away from any kind of illegal activities and stuff, and really be supportive of them, and instead of trying to tell them, like, not like set up their goals too high, like, oh, you're going to be a millionaire, but still set up their goals to where you can convince them that they can achieve their goal of having a happy life and not have to worry about too many different bills to pay, or if you'll be able to send your kids to school, stuff like that.
So back to the welfare subject. I know you don't get it, but for other people who you know get it, do you think that it helps them when they go through poverty?
I'd have to say it'd be a 50-50 thing, because some people who do get welfare know how to use it, and I have seen some families who just don't know how to use the welfare they receive, and they just completely blow it.
The way we got in research on generational poverty is by interviewing another student named Kamaya McCurry.
Can you define generational poverty?
Well, I believe generational poverty is having financial issues between not only just your parents, but your grandparents and your grandparents.
Do you witness generational poverty?
Yes, on one side of my family.
What is it like?
It's a little harder because sometimes me and my siblings don't find ways to school. We all have to work and support my mom, and it's a little difficult.
How many generations of your family on that side have been poor that you can remember?
3. At least 3.
How do you deal with generational poverty?
We all focus on a common goal that sometimes we just have to just make it because we don't have an option. It's our mom, it's our grandma, it's our grandparents. We have to. So we work and we support as much as we can, and we stick around.
You participate in welfare?
Yes.
Do you think that it helps with generational poverty?
In ways, yes, but in a lot of ways, no.
Can you explain?
Many times, parents tend to be on welfare and not work because they feel like their job isn't bringing enough income in the house. So we're all subject to having a set income and a set amount of food when our parents can work and we can all pull the weight, but it brings a lot of laziness and more troubles on like us, on our shoulders as children.
Did previous generations of your family use welfare?
Yes.
Did it help them?
No, it caused a chain reaction to where that's a crutch for us now.
What would your ideal program look in order to help with generational poverty?
Stability, more than just benefits, but like classes and structures, preparing adults for the future and really knowing about the risk and how it doesn't only affect them but their children and their children's children. So a more informed area rather than just handed out assistance.
That's it.
We interviewed a staff member of the building of Thurgood Marshall named Mr. McKenzie. He runs a program called the Males of Color. We believe if this program goes abroad in the school and the communities and out of the world, that it could possibly decrease or prevent the possibility of generational.
Go ahead.
Okay, so what do you think generational poverty is?
Generational poverty is when someone's born into poverty, and then the work they need to do to get themselves out of poverty, or at least the work they need to do to the next generation that can be out of poverty. It's basically, to me, just kind of being born into a poverty situation.
Have you ever witnessed generational poverty?
Oh yeah, definitely. All around Dayton, really. So if you look at the way people are in poverty now, it stems from their parents and their parents' parents and their parents' parents, and all the way, and that kind of just runs its course throughout the entire city. Honestly, you can really see it in Dayton. You can really see it, in the schools that we really work with, where you have kids who are in poverty, but it's not by their own choices. It's kind of their circumstance they're into. Well, Males of Color is a program that Dayton Public Schools started 2 years ago, and really it was meant to increase the performance rates of males of color. Because if you look at males of color, not just in DPS or not just in Ohio, but nationwide, in all public school settings, males of color perform worse across the board in terms of graduation rates, attendance rates, suspension rates, college acceptance rates, AP enrollment. So our goal was really to increase those measurements for males of color here in Dayton Public Schools.
Do you believe males of color helps with generational poverty within high school students?
Absolutely. I think that honestly, a lot of programs can all work together to stop generational poverty. And I think that the way Males of Color has a role in that is it's our job as facilitators to kind of motivate and empower each young man to find their special something that's going to lead them to a lifelong success. And the first thing is understanding that you yourself are valuable and worthy of success. So a lot of times when you're born into poverty or you're born into low opportunity circumstances, that you kind of just think that's what the world is. That my life it is what it is. I was dealt a bad hand and I'm going to stay where I am. But the first key is to understand that you have complete control over your life, independent from your family or from your parents or from your generational poverty. Your life is up to you at the end of the day. And so if you understand that first, and then second, we can figure out, so what are you good at? What is your passion? How can you take your special something and turn it into something? Now, if we can accomplish those two things, then I have no doubt that when you walk out of the doors at Thurgood, you can break the generational poverty cycle because you know that you're worthy of it. You know how you can get it done.
Have you done anything in your personal life besides Males of Color to help with generational poverty?
I think, outside of Males of Color, I work at the Boys and Girls Club. And so I think my role in this is to just, like I said, to empower as many kids as possible through direct service for now. That's where I am in my life is the point of direct service. Because I was blessed growing up. My family was in poverty at certain points in time, but I always had that family base that reminded me I'm worthy of everything I want in this world, and I have the tools to get whatever I want in this world. So I was lucky to have people in my family teaching me those lessons. So now it's kind of my job to go back out and teach the ones who kind of need that lesson from somebody outside the house. So I think just direct service with kids is the number one weapon I can use to kind of get everybody thinking about their future and thinking about what's ahead.